guys, welcome back. It's Amy Gretchen and I'm going to be working on week 5 in my Project Life album. This is from 2018 and I just kind of started going for it and then I realized I wasn't even recording. So I've laid out my photos and I wanted to show you that I'm going to be using Ali Edwards' February digital kit. So these are some of the cards that came in the kit and I just printed these out on Epson it was Epson presentation paper and it's matte. So it's kind of on the thinner side, but it is like high quality. It doesn't feel really flimsy. Here's another one that I printed out all of these right here as well. You can see my printer is not awesome at printing out the solid colors. I'm not sure what's going on there, but I just set that aside because I'm not sure if I'm going to use it. And then the other thing that I went ahead and did, you can see here is a die cut on this photo right here. And what I went ahead and did, these are the chipboards, the digital chipboards. And I printed them out. I did the print and cut on my Silhouette. And you guys, I've never actually done a print and cut before. This is my first time. So if I can do it, anyone can do it. And I've had my Silhouette since 2013. This is the first time. And I'm really sad because this makes using digital products so much better. So I went ahead and I printed it out. Same thing on the Epson paper. The presentation paper, and because it's pretty thin, I actually wanted these to feel a little bit more like chipboards. So what I did is I took that same cut and I went ahead and I cut it again on my Silhouette. Let's see, let me pull this over so you can see it a little bit better. I went ahead and I did that same cut with an 80-pound cardstock, and that way I can make my own chipboard. Now I was actually gonna do maybe like 2 or 3 that I could stack up, but I decided ultimately, once I did the one, that one was enough for me. And I have one here, I'll just show you how I'll end up making it. Here's the chipboard piece, and you'll see that they're just gonna fit together like a puzzle. And you can see, you know, you'll see that this is able to get as thick as you want depending on how much paper. I'm thinking maybe I just want a little bit of dimension, but just a little something so it's definitely off the photo. You can see it's even getting a little bit of shadow there. So it's definitely got some dimension, and that is, I think, high enough and good enough for me. So that'll probably be one of the first things I do now that I've got like all of my photos laid out and kind of picked out some of the cards that I might use, is to adhere the back, this white cardstock, to the actual printed piece. And one thing that I have not used or did not use in the kit is some stamps. So there are some digital stamps that come in the kit as well. I just wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And so when I printed out my photos, I didn't print anything on them. I just left them blank. So let's just go ahead and get started and we'll see where this layout goes. All right, so like I mentioned, the first thing that I'm gonna go ahead and do is create my chipboard pieces. So I am just adding the printed piece to the 80-pound cardstock. And you could actually, like I mentioned, you can make this as thick as you want. You can cut that as many pieces of the white cardstock as you want to make it as dimensional. I really wanted it thinner, and of course it also saved me more time. But what's really great is when you are cutting it out with the Silhouette, they're going to fit like a puzzle every time. So I really love that element to it. So definitely give it a try when working with some of these digital products, knowing that you could print it out and you can create your own faux chipboard. So I love having that option. All right, so I just went ahead and I cut 2 photos. You can see that the one photo with the girls, that was actually came straight from Snapchat. So of course everything is vertical. And I'm not worried about having a picture that's technically taken horizontal, putting that in my album vertical. It does not bother me at all. In fact, I actually kind of think it's fun play, especially because, like I said, it came from Snapchat. So there's text on that photo and you can actually read the text. It's not like the text is on the side also. So I think it is really fun, and happy to be able to include it in my album that way. So I'm just was putting everything up at the top so I knew what products or what embellishments were available to see which ones I wanted to add to some of my photos. I'm also moving some things around because you can see that a heart at the top was this story. Then I've got the February vibes, and then I have the other heart embellishment at the bottom. I can't remember exactly what it says. I think it was today was good. But at any rate, I didn't want to have all the embellishments on top of one another, which is why I switched out those photos. All right, so the next thing I thought about doing was taking the floral card and cutting out that embellishment and adding it onto the photo instead of that red heart. So you can see that I kind of moved the red heart over. And then I actually printed out that floral card one more time and then cutting it out. And I didn't necessarily love it on that photo, but I love this card. This was definitely the standout for me with this kit, and really excited about having an element like this. It definitely looks like it was watercolored. So I wanted to have it in this spread in one way or another. I'd actually thought of maybe having it as a 4x12 insert and doing like a long story with this, because I definitely could have done that with this week, but ultimately I decided to just leave it as a card, that it didn't need to be an insert. All right, so what I'm doing right now is I grabbed over this extra photo. I think this is probably for the week before that I didn't use. And I'm writing on it with the various pens that I have, because I'm thinking about that photo in the top left. I'm thinking about writing right on to that photo. So under the little chipboard that says adore this, there's more white space, and I wanted to write a little something. And so I was testing out my pens, and I didn't think any of the pens that I have really wrote very well onto the photo. So I think I'm going to maybe order one of Allie's and try that out, because hers seem to work really well on the photos. So I'll try that out, because I'm going to try and be a little bit more adventurous and maybe write on some of my photos this year, which I always am a little hesitant to do, but I don't know why, because every time I see it from other people, I really love it. So I'm going to try and do that a little bit more, which I thought would be really great to do in this spread, because there was so many of my photos with white space, but I ended up not doing it here because I just didn't feel like I had the right supplies for it. Anyway, so you saw that I did a little bit of journaling. And one thing I wanted to mention with this journaling is you saw that I turned it around and I finished up my journaling. And I've done this before, and that doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't bother me to, most of the time I like to, write out my journaling and get everything said. But for sometimes I just have more to say and I can't wrap it up that quickly. And so I just turn it around and I write more. Not a big deal. In the future, when I read through this, I'm going to notice that I stopped in the middle of a sentence, and I'll be like, oh, there's probably some on the back, especially because I've done it before. So don't ever feel like if you haven't wrapped up, you need to start over. Just keep going, and you can write on the back, maybe put in an arrow, like draw in an arrow. You could even do like a chipboard arrow or something like that to indicate that you've got more to say. All right, so right now I was thinking for this photo and this chipboard, I wanted to maybe add some a word. I wanted to add some letter stickers onto this photo. But as I was going through some of my pinks and reds, because I thought it would be good to have like another pink and a red, like something bold to stand out, every word that I wanted to spell on this photo, I felt like all the letters were gone. So they were all missing, and I couldn't spell a word that really made sense with that photo. So I just opted not to do it this time around, and that, I could do it in another spread coming up. So I definitely love being able to use letter stickers on my photo. And I don't think I've done that in a while. So I'll definitely be doing that coming up. All right. So you can see that I'm just kind of sticking things in the pockets as I go. So I do apologize if there's a little bit of I don't want to say a film, but it's not, the photos don't look 100% clear because they're in the plastic sleeves. So I apologize for that. One thing that I wanted to mention also that I've been writing on the back of the photos, I've realized, and I don't know, your moms probably did this, to write the names of the people in the photos on the back. Because obviously I'll know my daughter, but some of her friends, I can't imagine that I would forget their names because I adore all these girls and these guys. But I want to make sure that I have names on there just in case in the future I forget. So that's why you saw me, that photo in the top and then the photo in the bottom right-hand corner with the girls, that I actually turned it around and wrote their names just so we wouldn't forget. All right, so I am working on the title card now, and that is a fun card that it's actually a XO pattern that they've just kind of done XO, XO, XO all over in different colors. I thought that was a really fun card. And I took some of Ali Edwards' label stickers. I had kind of a packet of them. I can't remember where I found it in my stash, but I didn't realize that I had them. And really happy that I found them because I had several colors. You saw me pull them out. So I went ahead and used this kind of grayish beige color. And then I just went ahead and stamped on it. Now, one of the things that I did not realize this would happen, actually, the film on the label there, it was a little slick. And so when I was using the ink that I used, that VersaFine ink, it didn't smudge, but over time it kind of expanded. I don't know how else to explain it. So it looks fine here. But when I went to take the pictures, which was probably the next day, I could hardly see what the date was. It was like, it really, like, that ink expanded onto that paper so much. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the actual picture, but I went ahead and I didn't change out the label sticker at all. I did stamping onto a regular piece of paper, and then I just glued it on to the label. So you may or may not be able to see it in the photo. You can go ahead and check to see if you can. It doesn't bother me the way it looks. It's really not that obvious. You can see also that I was kind of putting a piece of paper on top of it to see if it had dried yet. Because that was another thing, because it was such a slick surface, it didn't dry very quickly. So if you want to use these label stickers and you want to avoid doing what I did, I think the best thing to do is to use Stays On ink. Stays On ink would not have done what VersaFine ink had done, because VersaFine ink sits on the surface. It's more of a pigment ink, so it doesn't soak into the paper. And I'm not sure how dye ink would have worked on that. And I don't know the properties of Stays On, but I know that Stays On, it really does not smudge at all. And it sticks onto a lot of surfaces, even slick surfaces. So if you have those label stickers or anything that's a little bit more slick, I know there's a lot of products from Studio Calico as well that's kind of that sticker material that's a little bit more slick. I would definitely use the Stays On ink. And that Stays On ink comes in a couple different colors. I know I've got black and white. I think it comes in a brown as well. So definitely check that one out. All right, so I am finishing up this spread by just finishing up the journaling. And you can see that I just added the date on to the bottom of that card there. I also wanted to make mention the other card that's next to the Love Life card says so many things to love about you or something like that. And I just went ahead and created my own list instead of using letter stickers number stickers or stamps. I just went ahead and just made a list with my pen. So that's definitely an option there if you don't want to feel like you need to pull out your stamps or something like that. All right, so I feel like I'm done with this spread, but when I was looking over the one card that had the floral, I just felt like I missed a lot of information and I didn't get a lot of the story down like I wanted to. So I just decided to, since it was a digital card, I was just going to print the card out and then write it again. But what I decided to do, since it was a digital card, was just to type it up. That way I'd be able to fit more of the story onto the card. and then I could just print it all out together. So that's one of the advantages of having the digital card, is to be able to just print right onto the card and then print the whole thing out. So anyway, guys, I am finished with this spread. I really hope that you will try making your own chipboard embellishments using some of the digital supplies, and that you will give this kit a try. I think it's very works with Valentine's, but it can go along with so many different stories that we have to tell. So thank you for being here, and we will catch you in the next one. Bye.